Hi, I'm Caleb,
And I'm Emma.
and today we're going to be talking to you about Dewmocracy.
Quiet! Hush your mouth. I told y'all mother, y'all can't stop me now. Listen to me now. I'm lasting 20 rounds. And if you want me, then come on get me now. Is you with me now? The biggie bounce. I know you dig the way I switch my style. Holla.
New Mountain Dew Ice, a clear, refreshing lemon lime dew.
What do companies gain from crowdsourcing products and ideas for products from consumers?
We'll start off by defining crowdsourcing. So it's a model where some job, traditionally performed by a designated employee, is outsourced to an undefined large group of people through an open call. So there was actually a study done by the University of Vaasa that determined crowdsourcing makes the organization's innovative team more customer-centric. It also helps them become more connected with their targeted audience and gain more demand in their markets. Anywhere from minimal to high levels of consumer contribution, they gain consumer engagement. Consumers are turned into brand advocates by getting them involved, engaged with the innovative process. Companies also gain free advertising through consumer participation, whether it's word of mouth, contests, opinions, or consumer ideas and contributions. Organizational intelligence can suffer if the company is disconnected from its consumers. The first Dewmocracy was a success for multiple reasons: novelty, as well as the energy that came from the brand's core fan base.
What was the value proposition to PepsiCo, owner of Mountain Dew, of the series of Dewmocracy 2 campaigns? And how do you think PepsiCo benefited?
Well, the value proposition to PepsiCo of the series of Dewmocracy 2 campaigns was created deeper brand engagement and to build a more active community of fans in social media. PepsiCo benefited from these campaigns because they were able to have fans engaged and have them vote for their favorite flavors. PepsiCo also benefited from sales because people wanted to try the new flavors that Mountain Dew had to offer.
What do you think about the multi-stage, multi-campaign design of Dewmocracy 2? For each stage, how effective do you think it was in engaging consumers with the Mountain Dew brand?
I found the multi-step design of Dewmocracy 2 very interesting. I think the multi-step design was a great way to get people talking about the new Mountain Dew products. I like how they decided to make the campaign 1 year in length. This gave them just enough time to try every new method with engaging with the customers. During stage 1, this was called the truck stop. This is where they toured and gave out free samples for people to try their new products. I thought this was a very effective and great way to have their products known. After trying these samples, they encouraged the fans to like their social media campaigns. This is where the program began to have an online community. Stage 2 was called Express Your Flavor. This is when they created a special event that was invite only to their online community. This is where fans were selected at random to come to what Mountain Dew called their Dew Labs to help design the new products. I found this an extremely effective method to get people to follow their social media campaigns and to get engaged with the new flavors that they had to offer. Stage 3 was called Shoot Your Shade. This is a stage where they had to choose what colors they were going to make the new flavors. They did a live vote on Facebook for fans. To make it exciting for the fans, there was a live paintball event where each time that there was a vote, it triggered a robotic paintball gun to fire that color at the target. I didn't find this step to be too effective just for the fact that paintball isn't an event that many people will watch. In fact, during this event, they received less than 12,000 votes, and this was one of their least successful campaigns of the 7 steps. Stage 4 was called the Name Game. This is a stage where they had to come up with names for their products. Dew Lab members came up with the names for the new products. Over Twitter, they did a vote for the product names. I think this is a somewhat effective method. However, I feel it would have been much more effective if they had the fans initially come up with the names. Stage 5 was called Submit Your Vision. This is where they had to come up with a product label. To keep the fans involved, they created a design challenge to artists. People involved would design a label for a can and upload it to Facebook. There were many uploads, and the top 10 finalists received an Apple MacBook Pro, and the winners for each product also receive $10,000. I think this is a great way to get engagement from fans and to keep people talking about the products. Step 6 was called Creative Juices. This is a very interesting stage. This is where they invited fans to create a 12-second viral video that would then be voted on to become the next commercial for the new flavors of Mountain Dew. This was an excellent method to get free advertising and to keep people interested in their products. Stage 7 was called 3 Flavors Enter, 1 Dew Stays. At this stage, the 3 flavors have almost been around for a full year. This is a stage where fans voted which product of the 3 would stay. After the vote, the flavor that stayed was called Whiteout. This stage was effective because they once again let the fans decide.
So, you want me to vote for your flavor?
Baja Blast. Pitch Black.
Well then, what are you gonna do for me? Hey, you missed a spot. Whoa, only I wash my car. All this work's making me thirsty.
Dale gets a vote, and so do you. Decision 2016. Only 1 flavor stays. Vote at decision.com.
Ow, guys!
Were there too many stages, and why, if you thought there was?
We think that if the whole campaign had been directed at the general public, then it would have been too many stages, resulting in a lengthy and drawn-out promotion rather than being an effective one. The number of stages was just right because there was multiple consumer groups and external companies that were targeted at various points throughout the campaign. The campaign reached artists, art schools, designers, small advertising agencies, film students, and the general public at various points, which allowed for diversity in the campaign and inclusion.
Do you think this multi-stage approach was effective in keeping consumers' interest in Mountain Dew and Dewmocracy 2 specifically high over time? And were some stages better or more effective than others?
So we decided to look at the number of stages that were directed at the general public versus solely the Dew Labs members or exclusive members to see who was targeted and how often. So it wasn't the same consumers that were being targeted continuously through the whole duration of the campaign. For example, the general public was targeted in stages 1, 5, and 7. Exclusive members were targeted in stages 2 and 6, and Dew Lab members were targeted in stages 3 and 4. So we think this approach was effective in keeping consumers' interests because the stages were broken up into various target audiences, whether it was the general public, invite-only or exclusive members, or the developed Dew Lab members, each stage requiring different groups of people to fulfill the needs of the step. While the general public was the initial audience for the campaign, there were various other audiences with exclusivity and more of a novelty approach in the next few stages, not targeting the general public again until stage 7.
What was the value of having Flavor Nations formed from Dew Labs members, and the value to PepsiCo and to all the members?
So there are 3 products that made up Flavor Nations, each of which had their own campaign and contributed to the overall consumer engagement. After being involved for almost a year, by the end of the campaign, it gave consumers and fans the opportunity to feel connected to the campaign and feel as though they were a part of the whole innovative process. The value to PepsiCo was the constant engagement in the voting process, as each Flavor Nation had its own Facebook page, Twitter account, and YouTube channel. The voting process encouraged fans to like the primary Mountain Dew Facebook page for updates and news related to the campaign. This resulted in growth from 100,000 fans to 800,000 fans by the end of the program.
Could PepsiCo use this approach for other brands in their portfolio? Have they? And for which types of brands and target segments does crowdsourcing in this way seem most appropriate?
So we believe that yes, they can use this approach for other brands in their portfolio. People that are dedicated to a product or brand are personally invested and seek opportunity to become involved in company decisions. So Doritos crashed the Super Bowl campaign launched in 2006 and targeted millennials and Generation Z. Since then, PepsiCo recognized that the media landscape was much different and needed to transition in a way that correlates with Gen Xers whose thinking aligns with the thought, not waiting to be discovered, in order to reach success with future campaigns. This method of crowdsourcing has evolved from PepsiCo being hesitant to accepting and implementing an idea that meant investing $2 million in consumer ideas and pitches, and from outsider perspectives, considering the campaign to be a cop-out and lazy from the company, to brand growth from $1.54 $4 billion to $2.2 billion in brand growth. Brands that are already established with large, dedicated fan bases and audiences will benefit from this type of crowdsourcing because they have the brand capital to invest in a more risky kind of campaign that relies on consumers to make brand decisions.